In question number 6, you're told to evaluate without using tables or calculators the cube root of 0.125 multiplied by the square root of 64, all that divided by 0.064 multiplied by 729. So when you're told not to use the tables or calculators, the other option maybe that remains for you to use here would be the factor method to simplify all this. Let us see what is expected of you in such a question. Now we have the cube root of 0.125 times the square root of 64 over 0.064 times the square root of 729. We start with the numerator, and when we work out the numerator, we shall have this as the cube root of 0.125 multiplied by the square root of 64. How do we get the square root of 64 without using the tables or calculator? Now we are going to write 64 in factor form. 64 in factor form, we are going to get 2 multiplied by 16, not 2 multiplied by 32, 2 multiplied by 32. 32 will be 2 equivalent to 2 multiplied by 16. 16 will be equivalent to 2 multiplied by 8. 8 will be equivalent to 2 multiplied by 4, and 4 will be equivalent to 2 multiplied by 2. Therefore, 64 will be the same as 2 raised to power 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2 raised to power 6. And since we want to get the square root of 2 raised to power 6, we are going to multiply now this by a half. We're going to multiply by a half because when you have the square root sign, it means this value here is 2. So in index form, it means 2 raised to power 6 raised to power half. So this will give you 2 raised to power 3. And 2 raised to power 3, this gives you 8. Like that. The same thing we are going to do when we are working out for 125. 125, so here it will be multiplied by 8. We've already gotten that. Of course, these other value we want to evaluate will be given by the cube root, all this still under the cube root sign, of 125 over 1000, like that. To make our work easy, we can still multiply 125 by 8, and when we multiply 125 by 8 over 1, we are going to get 1000 over 1000. The cube root of 1000 divided by 1000, which will be equal to 1, like that. We can now work out the denominator. And the denominator, we have 0, the cube root of 0.064 multiplied by the square root of 729. Again, we can use the factor method to get the square root of 729. We have 729. We can write this in factor form as what? 9 is a common factor. 9 will go into 729 81 times, and then 9 is still a common factor. In 81 it will go 9 times, and then we can simplify this again. 3 is a factor, and here 3 is also a factor, and here 3 is also a factor. Therefore, 729 will be equivalent to 3 raised to power 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And when we want to get the square root, we raise this to power a half. Therefore, the square root of 729 will be given by 3 cubed. And 3 cubed, this gives you 27. So we already know the square root of 729 to be given by 27. So we are going to write 27 here, and again get the cube root of all that multiplied by 64 over 1000. The same case for 64. Of course, we have the cube root there. We can still use the factor method to get the cube root of 64. Since we know 64 is given by, since we know that 64 is equal to 2 raised to power 6, to get the cube root of this, we multiply by a third. And when you multiply by a third, 6 divided by 3 gives you 2. So the cube root of 64 will be given by 2 squared, which is equals to 4. That one we've already simplified. What about 1000? We now want to get the cube root of 1000. 1000 in factor form will be written as 10 multiplied by 100, and here 10 multiplied by 10. So 1000 is given by 10 cubed. And when you want to get the cube root, you multiply this by a third. So the cube root of 1,000 will be equal to 10. Therefore, we come back to our expression and get it as, we've now simplified this part. The cube root of 64, we have found it to be equal to 4 over the cube root of 1,000 will be equal to 10 multiplied by the cube root of 27. 27 can be given as 3 raised to power 3. So the cube root of 27 would be given by 3 raised to power 3 multiplied by a third, which is equals to 3. So multiplied by 3 over 1. So when you simplify this, you're going to get by 2, 2, by 2, 5, 6 over 5. That is not our final answer. We now have to get the value of the numerator, 1 divided by 6 over 5, which gives you 5 over 6. 1 times the reciprocal of this. 1 times 5 over 6, which gives you 1 times 6 over 5, which gives you 5 over 6. And that is the way to work out such a question. It's very, very important that you adhere to the instructions that the examiner would want you to use.